How's Brian McDermott going to do in Toronto? Because he's obviously
in Manchester.
In Manchester, you know, with the Toronto-based media, you can't escape for Paul Rowley being on the fan whatever number radio station is, all their players.
Him and the mayor are just like
that. Yeah. Not the former mayor, thankfully. How's Brian McDermott going to get on with the squad they've got in Toronto? Because there are some interesting players there.
He's a great copy. Because if he says nothing, he's good copy.
Well, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting if he's going to be given free rein to speak to the media. Because with the best one in the world, at Leeds he wasn't.
Or is Brian?
He was kept pretty much under wraps.
Or is Brian Noble going to do that as part of his role?
Change your titles around.
But I think Brian McDermott would be great. Because I think for what he says is good copy. But you need to have journalists that will ask him the kind of questions that he'll respond to.
Be allowed to ask.
Yeah. And I think that over there they will ask him, and part of the remit will be he'll need to answer them.
Mm. It's an interesting one, that, isn't it?
But he's a personality as well. There's a lot that they can make out of who this guy is. That then, the ex-marine and the professional boxer and guy who's won more titles in Super League than everybody. There's a lot they can work on out there. He could be a personality, Alan.
How do you think he'll get on, Ledge?
I think he'll be alright, yeah, because with the show he'll get the respect. His man management's good. I think that's going to be the most important factor for him, man management, handling players who, they've got big egos. They've got the journeymen, they've got big egos, so it's going to be a different sort of dressing room for him for what he had at Leeds. As we know, the players what he had there at Leeds, not just the quality, but also as well the leadership qualities what they brought. And as I say, I would imagine McDermott just kept it nicely with his man management style. This is totally different because journeymen, big egos, pressure of the job as well. So it's going to be interesting.
Not as many. I think people like Tom Albertson will absolutely thrive under Brian McDermott. I think that's a really
good player.
Tom
Albertson, good player.
Well, you're a big fan.
Big fan of him.
I think they're not so much. I think he's got people that have got potential that he.
Not all of them, but a few of them are.
Yeah, I think they're moving away from that a little bit now.
Are they?
Mm. It's interesting that even before, as you said earlier, before they failed in the £1 million game, this story had been going around for a long time.
Jimmy says McDermott has got the personality of a brick. I would say, Jimmy, you do not know Brian McDermott. I'm not a mate. I'm not far from it, but I have spoken to him away from rugby, and I think he looks at a journalist as a challenge, and if you're prepared to meet him, challenge him, he will let you challenge him and he'll challenge you back. And we don't see the real Brian McDermott on the telly, the Sky interviews. I cringe myself looking at him, and he must look back. I don't know if this is a persona he puts on. That isn't the Brian McDermott that I see.
I think if you walk into a press conference and ask him how he thinks it went, you'll get a terse reply. There's a similarity with Wayne Bennett in terms of their approach to the media. And Wayne is taciturn at best. But we went to Bradford to hear him speak to raise money on behalf of the junior development of the Bulls, which is really good of him before the first test. And he did an hour, and he made it quite clear that if it had been journalists asking him questions, he probably would have given the short answers. But because it was a room full of people that had paid to listen to him, and that all the money was going to a really good cause, he opened up a lot about himself. And what I would say is you can read a lot of that in a magazine that's out later this week, and it is fascinating. But you suddenly realise when you listen to him for an hour, talking not so much about rugby league but about philosophies of life, why people want to play for him. Why players, every single one of those England players has come out and said, he inspires me, he makes me the best I can be. There's a lot of that in Brian McDermott as well, that even though he clearly had run-ins with Kevin Sinfield towards the end of Kevin's career, Kevin still ranks him as the best coach he ever played under. And I think what you find is that if you find a way of getting to hear what they've got to say, I think the other thing Brian McDermott's developing at the moment is a bit like Jamie Peacock's, going out to corporate and talking about leadership. He did his first one at Ashfield College last Friday, and he's going to do a few of those. I think if you go and listen to him talking about leadership and how you get the best out of people, he is absolutely fascinating. So don't judge him on the way he treats Tanya Arnold.
Should ask our Toronto-based listeners, because the third biggest largest country that listens to this programme, no, that's the wrong way of putting it, The most listeners, third most listeners that listen to this programme or download our podcast are from Canada, believe it or not. I wonder what they make of it. I wonder what they, do Torontonians like a coach like Brian McDermott.
What they should be is excited that they have got the coach that's won the most Super League titles. They shouldn't worry about anything else at the moment.
And this is what the Torontonians need to learn, because he has his own ways of thinking and managing. On a scale of 2 to 9, how successful will he be as coach?
You've been waiting all year for that, haven't you?
It's my
ever since he got sacked.
I get a bit of an in-joke there. I think you need to explain that.
As it was Pete Smith, wasn't he, who asked him once, I can't remember who they played, Salford or someone? A few years ago, on a scale of 1 to 10, how happy he was or something. And he says, on a scale, well, I can't be 1 because that's really depressed, or 10 because that's ecstatic, so it's more like 2 to 9. That's Brian McDermott, that's what you're getting in Toronto. How successful will he be?
Well, Nicholas said he's going to have to meet the public and the press to build up the fan base. He said we're not corporate sellouts just yet. So we'll see how that one goes. I think he'll do well. I think he could be the perfect man. And the thing is, I don't think he's not going to take any crap.
Oh no.
So
I'll take no rubbish, and I would imagine, as I say, with the Toronto, whether it was the philosophy of Paul Rowley, the indiscipline, because at times they were awful, weren't they, from a discipline point of view. So one for sure, if the players who are a little bit indisciplined and they don't want to change, I'm afraid to say they won't be playing for the Wolfpack very long under McDermott.
What I think it is, it's the ability to get teams to win the big matches. I think Paul Rowley was great throughout the year, but all of the big matches that they seemed to play, that's when the discipline issues came in. I think Brian McDermott's almost the reverse of that.
Yeah.
When you get to the big games, he has motivated teams to achieve things that you didn't think they would, come up with a game plan that was slightly different to the one that you thought they might be playing. And you look at all of the finals that Leeds played in, there was something slightly different that he brought to the table that, yes, absolutely, he had the playing staff and he had the people in the dressing room that were winners, but your coach as well gave you that little bit extra that you needed to go out and do the job.
Is he staying, Noble? Is he staying?
Yeah.
I mean, it does sound that the good news for him is these teams in Toronto generally are rubbish in terms of winning championships.
Toronto won MLS, didn't they, not so long ago?
Yeah, but that's football. No one cares about football, do they? When did the last time Toronto Maple Leafs won anything? Years and years and years ago. Because they're not as good as the Montreal Canadiens. And the Blue Jays, they don't win anything. So it'll be all right. They've been rubbish recently, according to Wikipedia. So all our Canadian listeners, they'll all let us know. But it's going to be an interesting time.
Get excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.